So I want to paint a quick picture for you, if I may. So when we located to 5 Points, we had absolutely no idea that this crazy journey that we were on we would quickly outgrow our space in as short of a time as we have. But what we always envisioned for 5 Points was a collaborative innovation and arts district where we could build upon the arts and cultural district that it's branded on today and transform it into having tech and innovation at the forefront of it as well, where you could walk around and instead of just seeing art installations, maybe we also had a little tech art museum that was self-service that you could walk through and play with robots. And we have tech retreat things and tables on display at all times. So we started this incredible vision. Yeah, like it's been an absolutely crazy, wild year for me, especially reintegrating back into the U.S. and then also on our first year with GrowCo. But we've been incredibly excited about the first year and very much looking forward to what is in the future this year as well. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Caroline. A couple quick questions. So I 100% agree with you for someone who's been in Columbia for the last 58 years about the culture of Columbia. So what are the next steps for GrowCo? And what are the next table of issues and how do we work through those together and how can we help?
Absolutely. So loaded question there, big question for sure. The thing that we will not lose our focus on is increasing the number of net new founders, particularly the high growth, high tech ones for Columbia. That is the number one metric that we're looking to measure. Based on the Columbia MSA, we should have somewhere more in the neighborhood of 2,000 to 2,500 high growth, high tech founders. We're sitting at around 100 right now. We're starkly behind. We've set a new goal to have something around 250 in the next 3 to 5 years. That would be a good growth trajectory for us to target. We have to also observe that Columbia is a capital city. Capital cities come with their own sets of challenges just because it's typically a bureaucratic culture that you're trying to overcome, right? So it's not like we can't go dip into an Apple location with their employees or a Google location and say, hey guys, you guys are already understanding what's happening in the world of tech. Let's go start startups to support that.
We also have an institutional culture as well.
Absolutely.
It goes back a long time. So it's not a creative community.
Precisely. Yes.
So.
It's not a creative community naturally. So a lot of what we try to do is actually spark that inspiration, which unfortunately is very difficult to measure. But the strongest metric that we can provide for it and we'll continue to focus on is the number of net new founders.
Where are they coming from?
A lot of it, they come from different doors and windows. Right? So every founder is going to reach our community through different things that we do, different programs, different events. Someone might come in, someone that I just spoke to after Leadership Columbia, she came up to me. She's a transplant here from New York. She works remotely for a national legal firm. And she says, hey, and she's also a realtor on the side. She said, I have this great real estate tech idea. I want to do this thing. I had no idea that you guys existed. This is so cool that you're here. Someone like here that thought like you. Thought, okay. So we kept talking for a while, right? And what it comes down to, though, is like sometimes it'll come after a speaking engagement with Leadership Columbia. Sometimes it comes through Tech Beans. Sometimes it's when I'm guest lecturing at USC or at Benedict on campus. Chris Hively, who many of you know is the co-founder of MapQuest and a prominent USC alumni, he'll be down here doing a speaking engagement tomorrow evening at the Boyd Innovation Center in partnership with the USC Alumni Association. So some people will come through that event tomorrow evening. My job, as I view it, is to give people as many opportunities to engage with us as possible, because we also have to meet people where they are. And if someone, like the woman I was talking to after this, she said, oh my gosh, I can't make the event tomorrow evening with Chris, but I could make it to Tech Beans, but also I work nights. So that's a really early start for her in the day is 8 a.m. for her. That's an early start because she's working West Coast hours on night shift. I'm thinking, well, that's rough, right? But she's still going to get up and she's still going to make it there because it's something that she wants.
So my oldest daughter went to the University of Georgia, and somehow through just getting to know some folks at Georgia, I became on the board of the entrepreneurial program of the Business School of Georgia, which I really liked a lot. It's really just a neat organization that has now transformed into like an entrepreneurial city within the city of Athens. And Athens is completely different than Columbia, but also has its challenges from being super creative, okay? So how do we work with the USC and the other universities here to help foster this entrepreneurial spirit or
Yeah.
mentality?
Yes.
How can we do that?
So one of our focus areas that we're also keeping from year one is fostering that culture of entrepreneurship for the Midlands and fostering Columbia as a destination. So actually a couple of weeks ago, I think I posted on LinkedIn and said, hey, motion to appoint Boyd Innovation Center as a tourist donation or a tourist location for Columbia as a city. Because I kid you not, we've had over 3 international visits in the last year. Nothing affiliated with the international business school at USC. It's just natural stuff that's coming through our doors. And just a lot of networks and relationships that we bring to the table. It's just, hey, do you guys want to come and do a lunch and learn? It's people here who are local and want to support. They work for larger firms, and those firms are always looking for ways to engage. And so we're starting to pull some of those guys in as well. So in addition to Benedict, so the reason actually that I knew about that unhappy film screening was because last summer I hired an intern from Benedict College who happened to be the quarterback of Benedict's winning football team ever, or what do we call it for Steve Spurrier, or winningest, I think is what it was. So Benedict's winningest football quarterback in history actually ended up somehow being my intern last summer. He learned so much, and now he's actually interviewing for full-time sales roles with tech companies right now, with all the startups, obviously, in Columbia. So in addition to engaging, we have a couple of student ambassador roles that we're trying to engage with different universities with. Over the last year, we've had a representative from Benedict College, who we just got a new representative from Benedict College to start on our board of directors starting January 1. So Dean Tracy Dunn, who's the dean of the, I should also add the first female dean of Benedict College. She's on our board. So we always maintain that pulse on what's going on over at Benedict. And I also have a monthly stand-up that recurs with USC entrepreneurship folks, because their USC department or their entrepreneurship stuff is a lot wider. And so the best compliment I think that I ever got was actually last month after our monthly stand-up. And one of the USC folks called me afterwards and said, hey, I want you to know that you initiating this for USC has been the best thing for us, because I actually know what's happening within my university system more.
I believe it.
And so I think it's really sad that it took a third-party nonprofit organization to do that for Columbia. But regardless, we've got that going on now. And we're also looking, I've got a couple of things pending, but if all pans out, we'll be launching in partnership with the Proving Ground Pitch Competition that's under the Moore School. We'll be launching a new high-growth, high-tech category this year that our G Alpha grads from last year, who are USC students or alumni, will be able to participate in this year. So, and they'll also, to that extent, we're looking for some funding for that to complement some of the other, like the other categories that Proving Ground offers. But they will also be having, they'll also receive 12 months of free office space at the Boyd Innovation Center. Because what we've noticed a lot on campus is that students want to be on campus, but what's best for them is to be off campus and to be in the community with business
I think
leaders.
that's what George is figuring out too, is
Yeah.
that it's, you don't want it to be like class.
Yes,
You want it to be like life, and life is on campus.
applied-based learning,
So,
always.
if you're ever interested in talking to the folks at Georgia, let me know. I think they got a neat thing developing
Would love
there. Second thing is, so one of the other things that Columbia and South Carolina in general has been devoid of is venture capital. So what do you see as far as the challenges and maybe some successes as far as attracting venture capital to Columbia?
So we actually know a couple of great success stories from last year. We had 2 companies that received a $750,000 round each. So that's nothing to shake a stick at, especially for last year with fundraising kind of closing up and becoming a very, very cold thing to enter into. PitchBook is suggesting that 2024 is meant to be a better year to fundraise. They're hoping to see some silver linings around Q3 or Q4. But for right now, it's a tight market. So startups are not really going out for investment per se, but that's not going to stop a few founders in Columbia from still moving forward. If it's on their business plan, or not really their business plan, but if it's on their trajectory in the next 6 months. I just had a couple of conversations last week with founders who plan to launch this year. So another way that I'm also looking into collaboration with USC is potentially getting PitchBook for the city or an equivalent. Crunchbase is a much cheaper option software-wise, but definitely not as accurate. And if we want the Cadillac for Columbia, as I call it, PitchBook is really the way to go. So we're looking at also doing some fundraising because that is also outside of the scope of the Boyd Foundation's investment in GrowCo. So looking at some options for that because that will, I mean, if the university paid for it, it is $100,000 easily. If a nonprofit pays for it, then we can do applied-based learning with the students and get them more engaged in our community as well. And I should also add that USC now has a dedicated office in the Boyd Innovation Center. So all of USC students can now come in and use that space. And Gamecock Consulting Club seems to be the first one out of the gate to start to take advantage of it. So they're really, really interested. They shared with me that their last consulting project that they did was with a couple of restaurants. And they said, well, that's all fine and dandy. That's cool. We really want to work with tech startups. That's where the excitement is for students. And so I'm really excited to get them in there to do some projects for the startups because what they need is some fresh energy and some fresh minds too. So it'll be a great win-win for everyone.
Great.
Yeah.
What can we do from the city?
My favorite question.
Well, let me ask something real quick, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Unless you have some questions.
I do, but go ahead.
So talk to me about space utilization in your current facility. Do you rent office space to startups?
Yes, we do.
And you're saying it's been so successful over the 2 years, you're out of space.
Yes, less than 2 years, about 15 months. And really since our landlords had the space ready has been since November.
So what's the perfect 3-year window of space programming alone growth look like?
Space programming?
Like how much office space do you need? How many
I would
office
say,
units?
I think we could move into 10 to 15,000 square feet tomorrow. Within 2 weeks of our landlord finishing our space, we had outgrown it. Within
How
2
many
weeks.
office units is that people?
I think we've got 7 units, but they're all very large. They're all very large units in comparison to what startups typically need, which is co-working space, much smaller spaces.
And then my other question for you, what are you talk about the talent pipeline, and I completely agree. The city has a role to play in that with the university. It's great to see for y'all chipping in to be that third party, right? What how would you say, what are the metrics to say, all right, now we're doing it right? The talent is finding good startup companies. These startup companies are growing. What are some metrics in your eyes to say that we're finally doing it right?
I mean, one that we can always look at, of course, like our goal, the golden metric that, as I call it for GrowCo, is the number of net new founders. That's really what we want to see. We want to see us moving from not 100 founders for Columbia MSA. We want to be at that 250 mark 3 years from now. But how we do that is going to be through a lot of early stage programming, like that takes people that have ideas for high growth companies and takes them and puts them through a program and teaches them exactly what to do. And honestly, how to think about it, right? One of perfect example is the Leadership Columbia. Her name's Alexis, so I'll call her Alexis. I don't know if I was supposed to do that with the name ranks, but anyway. So let's say Alex. So Alex has this great high growth idea, but her first question to me was, I'm not technical. I have no idea how to build this thing. I know everything that there is to know about real estate. That's her industry. She's specialized in that. That's awesome. But what she doesn't understand is tech. And so I said, great, we're going to launch a new program this year for co-founder matchmaking, as we call it. So what we find is the perfect storm here is that, let's say like a 10-year industry executive, maybe 20-year industry executive that knows everything that there is to know about real estate or whatever it might be. And then how do I mix the perfect storm together with someone else who understands tech and can actually go build what this person is envisioning. So when we can marry those two things together, that's kind of when we get that perfect storm.
That's fantastic.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Good questions.
Nope, I'm good.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. It's great.
And I will follow up to pick your brain on Georgia.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. They've done a really good job, and to be honest with you, it feels, and I don't know if I can back it up, but it feels kind of like the vibe is there, but it also feels kind of cutting edge, as far as developing that spirit and that vibe, that I think you got to be part of. You can't have if you don't have a vibe, you can't apply it into something. So, but yeah, I would love to. All right, great, thanks. Now we're gonna go to core, and to be honest with you, I don't think there's any accident that both of y'all are here on the same day. So they kind of, I think they tie together. Part of it is just kind of recognizing the challenges that we have here and working together to overcome those challenges. So we'll let you guys go next.
Okay. Thank you for letting us be here today. My name is Lee Goebel, and I'm the co-chair of Columbia Opportunity Resource.
I'm Julia Reedy. I am Director of Development for CORE.
And we're here to talk to you today truly about building local champions for the city of Columbia and asking your support in that endeavor. It's a very exciting time in the city of Columbia. The growth is evident, energy is palpable, but there's one crucial item that we keep hearing in conversations, and it's one item that is crucial to the continued development, growth, and success of our city, and that's talent retention. It's keeping good talent right here at home in the city of Columbia, and we know that this is an area of opportunity for us. Elevate Midlands, which formerly known as the Competitiveness Report for the region, it ranked Columbia recently number 10 of 12 for our peer regions. So those are regions like Chattanooga, Knoxville, Charleston, Greenville, and a few others. When we think about talent retention, it's not just about great job opportunities, good quality job opportunities. We also know that people who feel a greater sense of belonging to their community don't want to leave it. And they want to share that love of their community with their friends, which is where CORE comes in. Columbia Opportunity Resource is a nonprofit organization dedicated to getting people plugged in to the Columbia region. We do that through offering them diverse networks and getting them connected through insider experiences as well. And here's a short video on that. Is there a way to play it? Okay.
Can we talk about how beautiful their branding is? Well, I'm going to.
I often know of the changes that are taking place in Columbia before they actually happen, and it's all because of my involvement in CORE.
CORE has given me so many opportunities professionally, putting me in the right room with the right people to get to where I am today.
We want people to be excited about Columbia, and we want you to know what Columbia has to offer.
Found out all kinds of things about the community that I did not know about before. Wherever you are in life, Columbia has a spot for you.
It's very important for us as a community as a whole. And so that means corporate, that means government, that means individual businesses, that means our nonprofits to invest in talent retention, because that's our future, that's our leadership.
Man, Daniel looks old there, doesn't he?
I would just like to pause for a second and talk about how great their branding is. And I think everybody in the city should take note of, like, you're excited when you see this slide deck and you see this logo, you see the three rivers, it matches the flag. So as we're thinking about as well, like our messaging and how we tell our story, I think CORE is a very good example of making it easy for someone to understand exactly what Columbia has to offer. So as we continue our conversations, I just really challenge us to look at how they've been able to capture that through consistency of colors and, you know, pulling from a lot of different themes. And I could see a lot of our entertainment districts are, you know, like I think CAE Airport has a similar blue, like kind of falling under this. And so this is something we should
I love
keep
it.
in mind.
As you know, I'm pro branding. No, it makes money.
I totally agree. So we want to take you on a little journey through CORE. Our first stop is with Capture Columbia. So Capture is a program designed for college-age interns to take a deep dive into the community, and they build personal and professional relationships that land jobs and build careers. Capture Columbia takes place over 5 Wednesdays in June and July. They'll explore different districts and network with peers and community leaders.
We have one more video for it too.
Ken, I
So
think
here are the results. All right, so we want you to meet Amaya. She went through Capture in 2022 and later gained an internship with Central Carolina Community Foundation through a connection she made at Capture. Amaya is still here in Columbia and actually lives at the new Babcock Apartments. So our next stop is Crash Course Columbia. So Crash Course is a day-and-a-half program that takes place with a group of 25 professionals and 5 hosts. We have one of our co-founders here today with us. And so you go behind the scenes of hotspots in Greater Columbia. Crash Course is for those who are either new to the workforce, new to Columbia, or just need to be reinvigorated about living in Columbia. You'll tour through entertainment districts, discover hidden gems, local traditions, and new developments along the way. And we do have another video.
Crash Course Columbia is a day-and-a-half professional development conference to get to know your city. Think of it as like a hop-on, hop-off bus in your own town.
The same thing I tell everyone I speak to about Crash Course is it's a day. It takes a few hours of your time, and there is no harm in learning about what more is out there for you to learn about Columbia.
Crash Course Columbia is for people that are either new to the working world, new to the Columbia region, or maybe they just need a reignited passion for the Columbia region.
I got the opportunity to meet a lot of people that was very diverse in different professions, and needless to say, we're staying connected right now.
So now we want you to meet Kai. As Kai was trying to figure out whether to stay in Columbia or not, she is actually from London. She went through Crash Course. She loved what she learned and decided to stay. She later joined the board and is now our talent retention action team lead. And so our final stop on the journey is with CORE membership. And here we have Kai fully immersed in Columbia and with CORE.
So what does it mean to be a core member? Being a core member is really about being plugged into Columbia, getting getting connected to Columbia and building meaningful relationships with diverse networks of folks. And we accomplished that through a series of initiatives, including Table for Six, our themed networking dinners, where people from all professionals from all sectors really get to meet some of the leaders of the industries in Columbia, as well as some of our local city leaders. We have Time to Give, which is a unique initiative, a silent auction where you bid on prizes not with dollars, but with your volunteer hours. So we actually just had Time to Give last Thursday, and we had 1,700 volunteer hours pledged to give back to the city of Columbia. Last year, we had about 1,000 hours in total completed for Time to Give to win those prizes. So we're excited to hopefully have even more than 1,000 this year completed.
I think it's also to say, I really think this is super important in what you're doing as well. Because I mean, when I was growing up or whatever, but when we started our own business, I can't tell you how alone it felt. And then what you find out is not only does it feel lonely, but then you have people telling you how stupid you are for doing it and how you're not going to be successful. It's just bizarre. And then I think this all it feels so close, when I listen to you and listen to you guys, it just feels so close, like it's there. You can feel it, but you can't see it yet. So it's important, and a lot of this is just support. And it's support for people, it's support for the community. It's just, the world's harder now than it was back then. So, anyway, I love the concepts of what we're trying to do here in Columbia, and it's super important, especially, as you're trying to do something and it feels completely uphill. And there's just, mentors.
Back in my day, we just joined a softball team, City of Columbia Parks and Rec. If these options were here, I'll tell you what.
Y'all are old. I can't speak to that.
It's all true. So,
And we also, for our members, we have member-only mixers about every other month, where we offer them some type of insider experience in Columbia. Maybe it's to champion a new local restaurant, a behind-the-scenes tour of the Koger Center, maybe the zoo. And we also have our activates, which are public mixers. For anyone interested in joining CORE, they can come and learn more about what it is to be a CORE member. And then we also coordinate volunteer opportunities throughout the year, whether that be helping at Camp Cole, maybe supporting our local festivals like St. Pat's and Five Points or Mardi Gras, or one of my favorites, we have a Families Helping Families wrapping party every December, and we provide Christmas to local families who would not get it without our support. We also pride ourselves in not only getting people connected to Columbia, but also we encourage them to get connected in other organizations in Columbia, including, city boards and commissions. We encourage service on those. Maybe they join YLS or a few other organizations on this board. And we know that through our events, we also drive money and awareness of local restaurants, local businesses. And we know that because 100% of CORE events happen at local establishments, at local businesses, local restaurants. So what we do would not be possible, obviously, without the support of many public and private partners. As a nonprofit organization, we do rely on donations to exist and to carry out our mission. Previously, as some may know, the city was our only source of funding prior to 2015. Of course, the floods hit and priorities changed as they needed to. And that forced us to really diversify our revenue and diversify our support. And we're proud that we've been able to do that and get buy-in from the organizations you see here on this screen. And we've also been proud to and fortunate to have a good relationship with Columbia City Economic Development, our friends Ryan and Grace over there. At the end of the day, though, we both want the same things. We all want the same things for the city of Columbia, and that is to be a city that attracts and retains top talent, a city whose greatest champions are its local residents. And CORE is working to build those local champions, and we certainly would appreciate the support of the city as we continue to foster local pride and boost talent retention. Any questions?
questions? Will?
Tom, if you want to go first.
No, you go.
How do you work with Experience SC?
This year, they came on board as one of our strategic partners, and we kind of use them and their knowledge of Columbia to help plan some of the events that we do, like Crash Course, when we think about where do we need to show people who are interested in learning more about the Columbia community, where can we bring them? So we use them kind of as a knowledge base.
Yeah, I can answer that a little bit. Just my previous day job was with Experience Columbia, and so I was.
Elsie, will you be at the mic?
The mic, the mic.
She told me that before too, and I didn't listen. I can answer that a little bit, just having worked with Experience Columbia SC before. One of their, and I think we all know, a big part of tourism is that we need our locals to be speaking positively about our Columbia region. And unfortunately, I think we have a lot of the opposite of that going on. And so we at Experience Columbia, they really feel that partnering with CORE has the bandwidth to run these programs and get locals to be prideful of our region. And Experience Columbia wants their kind of local marketing effort to be that talent retention piece.
So do they fund any of your recruitment retention event approaches?
Not specific events. They've come on just like Richland County Economic Development as a strategic partner, just kind of overarching in support of CORE in general.
Okay. And then let me ask you, Lee, you had that wonderful list of all the companies that have donated.
Sure.
Have you in turn asked them what y'all can do for them to fit their needs for recruitment and retention?
Yes.
Take Aflac, for example, the big employers. What else could you be doing for them to really get all of their young talents enrolled in the wonderful programs that y'all are doing?
Right. And that's one thing I know after our talent retention initiatives, we do send out a survey to our partners to elicit that information directly from them. Ask them maybe what could be done better with Capture Columbia for the intern program, or if they send people on Crash Course, what can we do to encourage your people to stay here in Columbia better? So we do have that method of communication with them, and we're also working with some of our strategic partners. We're setting meetings with them now to look at next year and the year ahead and what their partnership meant last year, and kind of gauge and see how they felt it was and what we can do to tweak and be better.
So how many companies participate in the intern program?
It varies.
I think company-wise, we had over 25 last year. We had our biggest capture yet.
Wow.
Yeah. And our talent retention initiatives they launched in the COVID year. And so we had to kind of delay until 2021, and we're finally at a point where they're taking root and really taking off.
And so how long are you president for?
Through July. I'm technically the co-chair, so we had a chair.
So you've seen it come from startup in COVID 2020-ish.
Right.
What kind of numbers say it's successful in 3 years? What kind of participation levels from where you're at now to where you want to go?
Right. We had over 100 interns involved for
Capture
Capture
just
Columbia
in general.
specifically.
For any program you do, what's a successful event for you?
I know core membership wise, I'd love to see us be closer to 300 members. And then
Where are you at now? I'm sorry.
We're just over 120.
Okay.
So in our heyday way back, I guess when Danny Workman and Tamika Isaac Devine founded it, we had about 500 members way back when. So we would like to see those numbers rise. And I think in the next 3 years, we could easily have 300 members.
Thank you.
Aditi?
I was on the board, no questions.
As a follow-up to what Will was asking, so what are the other metrics that will define success of CORE in the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, when you really is there some concrete things that you can point to that says, if we get to this point, we feel like we've made a difference?
Yeah, I would say in addition to growing our membership base, I think that when we look at our members, we see them not just be involved in CORE, but we see them start to be involved in other areas of Columbia. We see them join city boards and commissions because they feel confident enough in their city and they love it so much that they want to see it improve. So I think we see them continue to get more involved in the city in that way and become local champions again. And I think that we continue to see our partnership base grow. And we continue to see more and more buy-in from small businesses, including local restaurants, all the way up to some of the corporations that call Columbia home.
Right. One more question. So how can you and GrowCo collaborate to kind of be this, core of what we're looking for Columbia going forward? Not that I'm, not to say,
You have one week.
you guys got to do it. What I'm saying is, how can you
Yeah.
guys collaborate together to kind of, foster each other's growth, I guess, is that's what I want to.
So if I may.
Sure.
Mike,
You gotta go to the mic.
Come up, Mike.
Okay. Forget about the mic thing. So this has not been run by CORE, obviously. So apologies in advance, guys. But I tend to call people and say, hey, I have this crazy idea. Do you want to do it? And most people say yes. So regardless, this year, last year, we started to imagine, remember I made the analogy with doors and windows, that we have to have more doors and windows, like the most doors and windows as possible to meet people where they are on their entrepreneurial journeys. One of the ways that we thought about doing this was not just to raise awareness for us as a new organization and a new footprint in Columbia and the target market that we serve with the tech founders, but also to highlight our entire entrepreneurial community and all the resources that we have, like SoCo, great co-working space with multiple locations here, right? Like they always need new business. And so actually we started slowly to put together this concept of Crash Cola instead of Crash Columbia, but like Crash Columbia Startup Edition. And so what we wanted to do was essentially do the same exact model as Crash Course Columbia and go around to different locations that had entrepreneurial resources. So I'm not sure, we never got far enough along in the thinking. This was actually someone else at the South Carolina Research Authority, Kathy Seraphin, and I started dreaming about this a few months ago, and then over the holidays just kind of got put on the back burner. But the concept was that we needed to highlight and bring awareness to more than one startup resource in Columbia, and that people needed to find the home that they fit best in. For us, it's the tech founders here, but for others, if you're just a freelance IT services provider, you might work somewhere else better. So.
Fantastic.
Call me crazy.
Yeah, so I would say, opportunities abound, and we're excited to chase those opportunities and make them reality.
Yeah. And we already have a great partnership with GrowCo.
Yeah.
Our capture celebration, so our end event was at the GrowCo space at the Boyd Innovation Center. Caroline is also a former Table for Six host. So yeah, we've definitely started that partnership. So we'll have to brainstorm on how to continue that.
Great.
well, I think you guys should look at the two different pipelines. I think while you have a lot of similarities, GrowCo and CORE touch very different networks of people. I don't typically see a lot of cross-pollination I haven't gone under Caroline's leadership, but I've gone to GrowCo events prior to that. And so I think that there's an opportunity there in terms of tapping into potential members from the startup community. And then kind of in return, I think sometimes when you're a creative genius, it can be a very insular community and it's hard to connect with people outside of kind of your startup space. And so looking at ways in which we could better engage those entrepreneurs to come out and experience the city as well. Because the reality is with a lot of the startups, especially in tech, you don't have to be in Columbia. You could be anywhere else. So really creating buy-in for wanting to stay here instead of taking your ideas and your, the capital that you're creating and the investment that you're putting in somewhere else, I think is going to be important. So thinking about that would be beneficial.
Right.
Great. All right, thanks, y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. Will, you want to move us into?
Yes,
executive
Mr.
session?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session on discussion of matters relating to the proposed location, expansion, or provision of services encouraging location or expansion of industries and/or other businesses in the area served by the public body pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A5, 2221 Divine Street, and project subtext.
Love it.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's do it.